Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Political Vigilante. I am here. You can see the dark night lighting up my apartment like the progressive weirdo that I am. I'm here doing an interview with Redneckonomics, who's been a fan of the show for a while. She also has an awesome YouTube show that covers a lot of very kind of regionally specific stuff you like to cover on your channel. But how you doing?
Doing good.
So what got you into, first of all, following, media on YouTube, and then why did you decide to start your own channel?
Well, it was a combination of things. First of all, Bernie Sanders, of course. I always thought that all the problems that were going on were regional. I always thought that it was just the messed up place I lived in. I did not realize, like, the huge scope of, people that are dealing with the same thing that I'm dealing with. Especially when they talk about, like, the rural-urban divide, it's like, we're all dealing with the same stuff right now. But what really got me active was, people like you. There's Tim Black and a few others, but, I had a Batman moment, my grandma passed away, and I just wanted a way to keep, her memory and her values alive. So I thought, the best way to do this is through politics. She was always all about helping people, question authority. Best advice she ever gave me was don't believe anything you read and only half of what you see. So that's probably why I was such a skeptic. So yeah, I really became involved after that. You got two choices when something happens. You got Batman or Joker. So I picked Batman.
That's a fantastic way to put it. Like the Joker, there's, I think it was The Killing Joke, where he said, everyone is just one awful day away from becoming a crazy criminal psychopath, or you get that choice, or you see, you see your parents killed, and you could then just become a bloodthirsty killer yourself, or you could do something good about it. So I want to ask you this: that's awesome, a Batman moment. I've never heard it expressed in that manner. What are some of the things that you thought were just unique to your area and your region that you realized, oh wow, this is more of a national issue than just what I'm going through?
Poverty was a big one, and just the way that people look at poverty. I always, blame myself. I always thought it was like this moral failing of my own, or, the people around here. I thought it was because we were so dumb, or, but I look around and I see there's a lot of good people from, California to West Virginia that's dealing with the same thing. Underemployment, unemployment, drug addiction. You name it. It's all across America, all across the world, thanks to America.
Well, yeah, thanks to the old U.S. of A. spreading justice and freedom and kleptocracy all over the world. So let's talk about that, because that's really interesting, and it's so much of what you've said, and I talk a lot about it, and as does Jimmy Dore and Tim Black and everybody. It's by design to let everybody, that poverty, to let people believe that poverty is a sickness or a moral failing, versus the direct result of unfettered capitalism. It's the direct result of that. And it's so funny having, traveled all over the country and the world, and then, living in Chicago and seeing like the inner cities there, and then seeing rural parts of America where, there's just as many white people living in poverty with drug addiction and gangs and all that other stuff. And then, I'm getting opened up to the Native American world from working on this show from FNX, and I'm finding the similar stuff on the reservations. And it's just, it isn't. Yes, there's a lot to do with racism and ethnicity and stuff like that. But above that, to me, is just the 1%ers sticking it to everybody. And wanting us to think like, either two things. One, it must be my fault. I must be I'm the idiot. I'm dumb, or or it's that group's fault. I need to blame over there and keep us divided. And that's by design. So none of us all get together in turn and look and go, oh, they're screwing us up in that big glass building. So what are some of the issues that, because I know you've done some videos like on the addiction and the opioid epidemic that's happening, and like, so tell us some of your personal experiences that you've seen in where you live and people you've experienced with. That wasn't a great sentence. That was an awful thing. I could just shorten that question down. What you've seen. I was just trying to sound so important in the middle of it. Yeah, tell me what your experiences are. There you go. That's a better concise question. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, my experience here has been, it's one thing when you experience it in your own little bubble, but then when you see it from another person's perspective, or when you see the same thing repeating over and over again, in other places in other countries. I mean, basically what they've done here is a colonization. They go in, they steal the resources, they do whatever it is that they want to do, and it's just whatever happens to the people happens. I mean, Don Blankenship, he's running against Joe Manchin right now. He just entered the race. He killed 29 minors. He killed 29 minors, and he has the gall to run in for office now. And I'm just like, these people are delusional. They are delusional. I have a billionaire coal baron as my governor. These people are delusional. I mean, my experience is like, I see so many people, or at least in the past, I saw so many people defending coal here. But my thing is like, I see so many people sick and dying from coal. People that, why is it that we have to sacrifice our lives for something? I mean, you don't have to put your life on the line when you go to your work. I mean, most people don't. But for some reason here, we expect it. It's like, that's what we have to do because it's like we're lesser than. That's what we have to accept. But that's the propaganda that's kind of been drilled into our heads. But I mean, I see that all over America. I see so many people breaking themselves for jobs that, for nothing really. I mean, even cashiers, I mean, they have so many problems, back problems, health problems, all these different things. And for what? I mean, it's not worth it.
I want to go back, though, to how did he kill 29 people?
It was through the mine safety. He was notorious for ignoring all the safety regulations. And what happened, it was Upper Big Branch. He ignored all the safety. He didn't do the ventilation like he should. His thing was, just push coal. And it was a cost to them. They didn't cover it. They didn't want to shut the mine down, and the mine exploded, and 29 people died. And this all for a resource that is irrelevant. When we have solar, when we have so many different options, there's no reason to have any dead miners these days. No reason whatsoever. I mean, I understand back in the day that's what we thought we had to use, but today, no reason for it. And I've seen so many town halls where these people are asking about clean, the Green New Deal. They're asking for green new jobs because they see coal's dead. I mean, last time I checked, there's only about 3,000 coal miners left in our state out of 1.8 million people. So you tell me, is coal really doing the work around here? I don't think so. I mean, mostly we're working in hospitals and cashier jobs.
Right. And that's sort of the thing that, like, the big, the coal barons of 100 some years ago helped build that idea that dying for your job is somehow noble.
Yes. Oh my God, it's such a good point. They really, when they talk about coal miners around here, they talk about them almost like you would a soldier. Like, that's how they talk about, like, in terms of patriotism, dying for a cause. And it's like, what cause are they dying for? Something that they could have not died for? They could have went to work and just came home to their kids. I mean, it's insane. But I mean, that's the whole thing with that's why, another reason why I got into this is because, the media here is so terrible. I mean, it's all right-wing propaganda. You turn on the radio, just about any time of the day, you're going to get Rush Limbaugh. I mean, it's insane. It's insane. They're so right-wing. And I'm just like, who's going to tell my story? Who's going to tell our story here? So that's why I started speaking up. I mean, before all this started, I was camera shy. My nickname was Silent Bob, so I wasn't a talker. But, you know, if nobody else is doing it, somebody's got to do it, right?
Well, you know, I mean, it's really, this is the thing that, you know, there's a lot to sort of be like, you know, oh man, about. But when I see like you and I see others on YouTube and it's fantastic because what the hell do I know about it? I've never lived in West Virginia. I don't know what it's like to live in coal country. I mean, I've gone through regular Virginia for a show. I don't even think I've been in West Virginia, quite honestly. And when I come through a place, it's for a couple of nights to perform. I don't know what it's like to work in a coal mine. I don't know what it's like to have that be the main industry. So to hear somebody speak up on their behalf and come from like a progressive view on it is fantastic, you know, because I go to that after the election when Bernie came to West Virginia and spoke to all these like Trump voter West Virginian coal people who were like, wow, here's this guy from Vermont that is actually more on our side than the so-called, you know, fight for the people Republicans.
Oh, I know. I love that about him. I went to his rally. I mean, I had to pawn my grandma's jewelry to get to his rally because it was an hour away. But I got there and oh my gosh, it was amazing. It was amazing. He came in there and he even talked about climate change. He didn't see, I mean, I'm so used to these politicians coming in and pandering and saying, coal, coal, coal. And he's like, coal's not the answer. Climate change is real. And the crowd erupted, man. They loved it because they were like, finally, some truth. You know, I mean, people are starving for it. We don't want to be, you know, pandered to. We want solutions. We're tired of this. I saw a documentary from 50 years ago, and the people here were complaining about the same thing that we're complaining about today. And that was a wake-up call for me. I'm like, we've been complaining for 50 years and they still have, 100 years if you want to go back to the mine wars. And there's still no change. So that's why I go after Joe Manchin. That's why I go after Shelley Moore Capito. That's why I'm voting for Paula Jean. You know, Paula Jean, I actually got to talk to Paula Jean. She is a phenomenal woman. She really is. I had to catch a Greyhound to go to the summit that she was at. And, she actually gave me a ride home, like all the way back from Ohio. So we got to chat the whole way back. She was cool as hell, man. She's cool. I like her. So, and we got to talk a lot about the issues and her stances on things. And, you know, it really helped me out as far as, you know, getting to know her personally so I can advocate for her. And, you know, I really hope she wins. And I think she will because Joe Manchin, he's going down.
Well, that's good, man. I really applaud you for, God, pawning your grandmother's jewelry to go to a Bernie Sanders thing. That's amazing. And it also shows where America's at. People are so hungry for some truth. And I think while I don't like Donald Trump and he's pretty scary and crazy, I understand why some people gravitated for him because he was saying crazy shit, but they were like, well, this guy's at least not talking to me like a slicked up politician. Now, I don't know how you can believe that guy for 30 seconds, but I understand why when you're not, all you're given is slicked up, prepackaged soundbite. You know, I remember in 2008, I was so excited for Obama. And I remember on the campaign trail, and he was talking about all this green energy. And I was like, finally, we got to get green energy out there. And then he slipped in clean coal. And I was just like, because he was campaigning in Pennsylvania and West Virginia or wherever. And I was just like, man, there ain't no such thing as clean coal. I would love for a politician to come into West Virginia, to come into coal country and go, I'm going to shut down your coal mines and I'm going to build a solar factory right across the damn street. And everybody you have a job waiting for you and other people. I'm going to put you to work because coal is dead. I would love for somebody to just have the fucking stones to say that. And I think from what you're telling me, the majority of the residents in West Virginia would go, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we don't want coal necessarily. We just want answers. We want solutions. Well, these are people that are in very desperate situations. I know that we almost have an unemployment rate of 50%. I mean, 25% of the people are on Social Security. I think about 50% actually have a job, and that's not even to include the underemployment, and then there's another 25% that just doesn't work. And some of it is because of the drugs, some of it is because of the jobs, but I mean, either way, it comes back to the same thing. We need, to survive. And some people, they have to check out and do the drugs, but, let's give them some real options. I actually had a politician tweet out and said, how can we solve this? And I said, okay, how can we solve the drug epidemic? I said, okay, give us jobs, give us education, give us some hope. Because that's what happens. That's how you get this drug epidemic, is because people have no hope. They have nothing else. You have to do drugs in order to survive in this state. It's like, it's so bad. I mean, you have to have an outlet. It's either that or church. So
what are the main drugs that are happening? Like what's
meth is coming back, but mostly it's heroin, because they went full stop on the opiates. So a lot of people had to then turn to heroin in order to deal with it. So, and that's another thing I blame coal for, because you have all these injured people that keep churning out all these injured people, all these prescriptions, broken people that just from all this back-breaking labor. So opiates are just, they're in everybody's cabinet, and nobody knew how dangerous they were until it was too late. I mean, hell, they put me on opiates when I was 11 years old.
What?
11.
For what?
Just a chronic health problem, and it was something that didn't even need to be. It was just overkill. It was overkill. I was 11 years old, so I mean,
oh man,
it could have been handled with 800 milligrams of ibuprofen, probably. So, but yeah,
that's well. Yeah, it's such great points that you bring up, and it's like what you're telling me is exactly what people in the inner cities have been saying for 50 years. If we had jobs, if we had education, if we had good health care, we wouldn't need either using drugs, dealing drugs, or just in that life in general. What are the options? And it's like, and then the Democratic Party just is like, get a college degree. And it's like, well, that's great if you were born middle class or upper middle class and you have access, you have college educated parents with jobs and they can afford college tuition, or you're willing to saddle the massive student loan debt, and you even lived in a that had good public schools to where you could qualify for college. And
yeah, and that was Joe Manchin's jobs plan, was military. Of course, military. And that's why the Democrats lost so bad this time. That's why Trump won. We were a state that was overwhelmingly Democratic for over 100 years. And then over the past, 10, 20 years, we've majorly switched Republican because we've been burned by the Democrats. We see them for the sham that they are right now. I mean, there's some good ones like Paula Jean, but, I really hope people can look past that Democratic label to vote for her. And I think that they are, because from what I've heard from, people I've talked to, they're really responding well to her because, she's a coal miner's daughter. She knows the plight of what that's like. And I couldn't even imagine just not knowing whether my dad was going to come home or not. That's horrible to put that on those parents and on those kids. So, they really relate well to her. And I think she's going to win.
What is she running for? Let everybody know what she's running for.
She's running to replace Joe Manchin for Senate.
Nice.
Yeah. Oh, I can't wait till he gets out. He's on my list of politicians to get out of office.
So, Redneckonomics, what do you see like that needs to happen? What do you think specifically, not just America, but like West Virginia, what would it need to get out of this situation?
Well, see, that's why I talk about West Virginia so much, is because I kind of want to relate. For people like from the outside, they think that they're so different and they don't think that they can relate to us. But you can. With the housing thing in California, you can't afford housing. It's insane. The prices out there, it blows my mind. We've got people here, for other reasons, but they can't afford their housing. There's so much homelessness that I've noticed an uprise in it. But I'm sorry, I got distracted. What was your question?
Just like, well, how do you see this? What are the solutions that you see? I mean, we've sort of touched on some of them, but what else would you go into to fix these problems?
Well, one of the things is a huge problem I've seen is I'm a flyover state. Nobody wants to waste the time, the resources to talk to the people. Now, Bernie won the state. In the primary, we all voted for Bernie. I mean, we overwhelmingly went for Bernie because he was giving us solutions, and it was solutions, progressive solutions that we liked. But when it came to the general, we had two choices. That's what most people thought. So most people voted for Trump. I voted for Jill Stein because, Trump just does not represent me. But I think that the people need to definitely do better outreach here, better education, talking to people, finding out what's important to them, which is jobs mostly. But also just taking the time to listen and realize that we're not that different. I mean, the same thing that we're struggling with here is either what you're struggling with now or what you will be in the future, because and that's why I talk about it so much, is because I'm trying to warn people about like this colonization that these corporations do. It's like, don't let this happen to your state. Don't let this happen to your community, because they will do it. They will do it. I mean, these corporations have no fear of killing off people.
Oh, none. Those 29 miners that died, those aren't humans in there. They're just that's a line item on a spreadsheet for those rich guys.
Mm-hmm.
That's all it is. And that's all. And it doesn't matter if it's coal miners, if it's auto workers, if it's just anybody, if it's a Walmart employee, if it's like, that's what it is. It's this massive corporate thing. And they sit there, and I've done videos on this of like, oh, the job numbers, everyone's got a job. Sure. Everyone's got a job making $9 an hour, but you can't feed a family on $9 an hour or something, 10, whatever you know, it used to be you get a good union job and you had health benefits, and then the corporations started in the 80s demonizing unions and getting regular working class people to go, oh yeah, the unions are so bad. And it's like everyone's been sold a bill of goods, and everyone's just wanting some type of truth in some capacity. And the answers are so simple, but when you see the Democratic Party just went back to workers, went back to being a populist progressive party, it wouldn't lose. It wouldn't lose. But to do that, if they take on the progressives in their party, then they lose all this corporate money. Mm-hmm. And they've got a bunch of neoliberals who are drinking their Kool-Aid.
Yeah, I think I just saw this on Jimmy Dore, like within the past day or two, where they were talking about, well, if you comply with us, we'll give you a template. Oh, a template! Thank you so much. That's really helpful. A template, comply or else. I mean, that's just. But it's not really working so much anymore. What was it, Virginia, that a Democratic Socialist just won after they were spurned by the Democrats? So good luck. I mean, Democrats, you need us more than we need you.
Yeah.
We'll make you irrelevant if you keep this shit up. I mean, sorry, language.
You can swear all you want. Like, I don't see the Democrats changing, and now I kind of am just hoping for that. I hope that independents and Democratic Socialists and Greens and Libertarians, I just hope they just start kicking the Democrats' ass, and then they'll beat Republicans and generals and stuff like that. They'll start winning. They already are. I mean, look what happened. Look, I mean, so 2018 is going to not just be a wake up for like the Republican Party, but the Democratic Party is going to get a wake up, because everyone is sick of both parties. Everyone.
Well, that kind of goes to what I wanted to mention was, I do this show. It's not on my channel, but it's on, I think it's James Young Man Talk. But we do a live show almost every night. And we sit there and we talk about the issues, we talk about the news, and we talk about, how do we fix this? How do we go about, I mean, there's so many things that are wrong right now that it just seems so like insurmountable, but I think that's important. What you mentioned was, you need people fighting to reform the Democrats. You need people fighting on the outside. You need a third party. You don't see these rich people. They don't sit around. They don't sit and say, okay, well, let's figure out one way that we're going to attack poor people. No, they do it all through all these different ways, through your job, through your family, through education. So, I mean, that's what we got to do right back to them. We've got to hit them on all sides, because I mean, that's what they're doing to us, and it keeps their resources and their time and their attention divided to where we can actually make some change. Put the pressure on all sides.
Yeah, I think it's key, and I love what you said, and it's really cool what you're doing. I think is a fine example for anyone out there who's just like, well, who am I? I'm not a comedian. I'm not on TV. I don't have a big following. What the hell can I do? Well, you just showed it. You're getting on a bus and you're going to follow Paula Jean and go to Bernie Sanders thing. And you started your own YouTube channel just to talk about an area of the country that is completely neglected. The big networks are not talking about it. It's a flyover state, as you said. It's got 50% unemployment. It's got a drug epidemic, and you're talking, and you get to do this now. So I think it's great what you're doing. And anybody out there watching that thinks, oh, who am I? Look at what Redneckonomics is doing. That's who you are. You can just be anybody can start talking into their laptop about issues that are in your backyard.
I mean that's why you were such a huge inspiration, because I mean you're a comedian, and like you're not some polished politician or some like news anchor. You're just a regular guy talking about the issues and saying how you feel. And I'm just like, well, maybe I can do that. Maybe I can be that person for my state. So. But it's kind of a challenge because, there's so many people here that still don't even have internet, Yeah, it's a huge problem. There's, out in the country, man, it's Amish country, basically. We're still working to get our roads fixed. We're still working to get, our basic infrastructure in place. So, hopefully, by doing this, we'll get that.
Well, you know what I recommend then? Get a camera out there and show it to people if you can. So people like me that I don't know this, right? I don't know what rural West Virginia looks like, and show me how impoverished it is. Show me so that, because I think that's part of the problem is I think Americans living in big cities, I've lived in big cities my whole life. Yeah, I've traveled a lot, but I mean, I'm not doing gigs in rural West Virginia. I tell you that much. So how would I know? So I think that's a service you could do while people there might not have access to the internet. You can show people outside of that state and people such as myself living in big cities who really don't know. That's part of the problem in America. CNN ain't going to show it. MSNBC's not going to show it. So why don't you show it?
Yeah. Oh, that's a fantastic idea. I mean, you can drive down any main street and see all these closed down buildings. I mean, it's starting to look like Detroit. And I know, Paula Jean, she went up there and she did some outreach to try and, make some, coalitions, with some groups up there. So, I mean, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. And that's a great idea.
Do it, man. I'll watch it. Well, any final thoughts here before we wrap up?
I just wanted to say a quick thanks to Independent Outsider for setting us up.
Yeah, that was very cool, Independent Outsider. Well, Redneckonomics, thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you to Independent Outsider for helping make this happen. And to everybody out there watching, follow Redneckonomics. Go to her channel and follow it. She's out there giving a voice to people that don't have one. And if you want to know what's going on in West Virginia, you're going to need to talk to her and listen to what she's having to say. So thank you so much for being on the show, and thank you for committing this. I know, you probably got a job and a life and all this other stuff. You're not a paid journalist. The fact that you're doing this is really inspirational to me personally.
Oh,
so thanks for doing it.
Thank you. Yeah.
Right on. All right, everybody. Thank you for watching the show. Don't forget, I got tour dates coming up. If you look at grahamelwood.com below, and I added a new Patreon tier for $20, you get to go to any of my live shows, except when I'm a panelist on the Jimmy Dore show, because those always sell out, and those aren't tickets for me to give out. Those are Jimmy's tickets. But any of these, the TV show that I'm directing, the FNX Custer's Last Stand-Up, and any other stand-up shows I'm doing, especially if you live in California, at the $20 tier. So go to patreon.com/grahamelwood. Thank you so much, Redneckonomics.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. And thank you everybody for watching. And remember, let's make Gotham great again. Point to the camera.